Hello, I'm Zorab and this is Byther Farm. Today we're tackling some deadwood. So we've come out to look at the fruit trees that are in the duck enclosure, and we are armed with saws and loppers and Mr. J to
Hang
try
on a minute. You're not using me to break a tree down.
Certainly not. But what we want to do is try and take out some of the wood that died many years ago, and also, if we can, to thin out some of the branches because it's very entangled. It's become very dark here, so there's less light getting through to any fruit that will develop next year, and it's just time. I don't think these trees have been touched for many years. So it's safety goggles on. We're enjoying looking very silly. Yes, yes. I don't know why. Do you feel like a frog?
I do feel like we should be swimming actually, rather than.
Yeah.
They do have the feeling of oversized swimming goggles.
Anyway, so we've got those and
Gloves.
And gloves, yeah, and we've got safety gloves. And so we're not going to talk to the camera very much while we're doing this, but we will leave the camera running so you can see our somewhat amateurish efforts at reviving this tree.
But we will let you have a little piece of nice music to go with it so that you can be entertained.
Yes.
Sure we can do it. We just got to, yeah. I know we can do it. Sure we can do it. We got to, yeah.
If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, or both. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. So Mr. J has taken off quite a segment of branch here, opened it up there. So what we're actually trying to do is take out the lower level branches that are actually dead, and lots and lots of fine twigs that are all at eye height, which makes getting underneath here really difficult. And then once we've taken out all the dead, we'll be able to have a look up through it and see if there are branches that are crossing over, and remove some of the ones that are crossing and causing such a tangle. It's exciting stuff. We're not going to get, well, we're probably not even going to get one tree done today. And we're just leaving everything that we cut on the floor here, and then in the next few weeks I'll come through and break this down into small pieces and get them into bags and get them into undercover so they stay dry, and then we'll be able to use them for kindling, and the thicker pieces on the fire actually has logs of wood, but we can't do that until they've had a good time to dry out, so we won't be using them until next year.
Some of this we don't actually have to cut, it just comes off in your hand.
Now we've cleared an awful lot down here. I can see that there's quite a thicket of growth behind us, but I'm kind of tempted to leave that there to some extent, because this is the way the wind blows all autumn and winter, actually all year. And by having that thicket of branches there is going to provide some wind protection until we've planted new trees on the other side of this plum. But then again, it's not going to be very productive like this, so we'll have a discussion. So I'm standing approximately where I was when I first started recording, and we've now cleared a really good space that is safe for us to walk under. Mr. J's at the back there somewhere. We've done
a fair bit.
Yeah.
Oh. I can't actually see with these on, they're totally steamed up.
Yeah, mine too. So we must have done, and you've done a huge amount of work. So thank you. It's been absolutely brilliant.
That's fine. I mean, obviously this is a long-term job. This is not something that we can do in an afternoon or even in a couple of afternoons, realistically, not if we wanted to do anything else that we have to do as well. Plus, because these are plum trees, and this is something I didn't know, Liz pointed this out to me the other day. Most trees you would prune and cut back in the dead season, in the winter, or at least in the late autumn and early winter, before they start thinking about new growth. These, you don't do that, because it apparently
infection can get in. Diseases can get in and cause problems.
We actually, when we moved in here, there was one tree here that was very infected with something, and it's possible that someone previously had done exactly that.
Yeah.
So we will do what we can over, as and when we can over the next 2 to 3 weeks before the autumn really sets in here, and then that'll be it. We'll leave these over winter and into spring, and maybe next summer we'll actually schedule some time in the diary to come and start doing that. So yeah, quite a lot done, a lot still to do.
There's a lot of clearing to do, which I'm going to do when Mr. J goes back to work. I'm going to come out here and quietly sit with secateurs and with what are those things called? Loppers.
They've probably got a proper name, but we've always called them loppers.
And a saw, and so I'm going to come and bit by bit work on all of this debris and get it put away. But our main objective of today was to just clear ourselves enough space to be able to walk safely through this area without getting damaged every time we do because of sharp branches and sticks at eye level.
There is still some down at the back which we will have to do. That's going to be, I think, the next part of this, because we also want to be able to get to some of the fencing and do some work on that over the winter.
And in front of us there's quite a lot of work to do in front of us, but less in terms of being right at eye level. There are a couple of branches that you really have to duck under, and that's fine because once you ducked under them there's nothing else hanging down, but this was. So one of the other things we hadn't considered is that some of these branches were actually resting on top of the fencing between the duck enclosure and the annual vegetable garden, and that was actually potentially causing a problem. Not that the ducks were using them to scale, although I'm sure if they'd worked it out they would do. But also the other thing is, and this is something that we have commented on a lot over the last 2 years as we've been growing more food down this end of the annual vegetable garden, is the shade issue. And if we can reduce that problem, then some of the plants down here, some of the squashes, some of the areas that we had beans in last year that didn't do so well, they will be more productive next year. Yeah, because when you look over here at the brassicas, the ones furthest away from these trees are about this high. The ones under the trees are
about knee high.
So there's obviously a light issue and very possibly a water issue in that the rain isn't getting down to them because of the tree cover.
But because these are productive branches, we're going to have to be a little bit more careful about which ones we take out.
Yeah.
With this tree that we've just been working on, half of what came out pretty much came away as deadwood in my hand without having to do very much to it. and I think looking up, there is quite a lot up there.
I'll tell you, talking of looking up,
This is a secateur's job, really. But looking up into the tree canopy, there is still quite a lot of wood up there. I'm no steeplejack. Also, these trees are not safe enough to carry that sort of weight. But I suspect that when we've cleared some of the floor area here, we would be able to bring a ladder out and get up and do a little bit of work. The more we can do ourselves, the better. Obviously, we do know the tree surgeon.
we do.
In fact, I would go so far as to say we know some arboreal specialists.
Yes.
But if we can save the pennies and do it ourselves, we will.
So I think it's time we went in and
Mug of coffee as called for.
mug of coffee, cup of tea.
And so, wherever you are in the world, and whatever your plans are for today, hope it's a good one. And I also hope you can join her again tomorrow.
Bye bye.